Salwe Year 3 and welcome to our KIRFs Lesson 4, ready to travel back to ancient Rome so we can learn a little bit more about Roman numerals, Roman numbers, and why Romans are so important to how we tell the time today. I can see not too many togas amongst you, that's fine. Togas are just kind of like the Roman version of a suit and tie. They're formal, they look nice, they're not great for moving around in and playing sports. That's okay though, lots of people from all over the empire, all over the world, will be wearing different clothes, so ours shouldn't stand out too much. So, like Nathan, I have a pocket watch, and perhaps like Nathan, mine allows me to travel in time. And today I thought I'd take all of you with me as well, so we could have our lesson in the Roman town of Pompeii. Now, it's very important I set the date to 78 AD, because of course 79 AD something happens, if you remember, with Pompeii. So we'll travel back to 78 AD. Here is the watch. If you have a hat, hold on to it. If you don't have a hat, you should have held on to it better before. 3, 2, 1. And here we are in the ancient city of Pompeii. Now, the Romans had 8 days in their weeks, not 7 like us. And from the sound of it, we've come during the 5th hour of the day, about 11 o'clock our time, which is the busiest hour where all the people would come to the main market square or the forum. Something I didn't tell you about togas. The most important people had a purple stripe on their toga. Let me try something. Okay, Dokeo. No, doesn't look like that's going to work. Well, luckily we've got this. Let's just fast forward the day to a quieter time. That's better. The Romans took ideas from the Babylonians and the Egyptians, and they used sundials to tell the time to start off with. A sundial is a stick stuck in the ground, and as the sun moves across the sky, the shadow from the stick moves around as well, and you could mark it out, and so you could see all the hours and which hour of the day it was. That's fine, unless it's nighttime or a cloudy day. So actually it's not that great. So the Romans also had something called a water clock. It's basically just 2 jars. The top jar is filled with water, and out of a small hole in the bottom, it pours into the bottom jar. And once the top jar has poured all the water into the bottom jar, that is 1 hour. And you can measure them against the sundial to make sure that you've got the right amount of water. Then you can carry that with you everywhere. Probably not the water, just the jars. You could fill them up wherever you went. And so they were able to take their time with them, even to the frozen wastes of Germany, although they did need to light tiny fires underneath their water jars to keep the water from becoming ice. Now, the Romans had 12 hours of daytime and 12 hours of nighttime, a bit like us, but they had to measure a lot from the sun, and so their hours weren't always the same length. In the summer, where it stays light in the evening for longer, like it is now, it's nice and light outside, even at 8 o'clock at night, it's still quite light. The hours are a bit longer. They could last as much as an hour and a half, because the Romans would just take the daylight and divide it into 12 pieces. In the winter, where it got dark a bit quicker, maybe it gets dark about 5 o'clock sometimes in the winter, they would take that daylight, divide it into 12, so an hour might only be 45 minutes for them. You don't need to know that. It's just something that's quite interesting. The Romans did have 24-hour days, but the hours changed depending on whether it was summer or winter. Now, Roman numerals, Roman time. So the numbers are fairly simple. Let's go through them though to make sure that we can all tell time from 1 to 12 in Roman numerals. So 1 looks kind of like a 1. 2, just 2 ones. 3, just 3 ones. Now this is where it gets a bit more interesting. You need to know that V means 5. V means 5. So IV is 1 before 5. What's 1 less than 5? 4. IV is 4. V is 5. EI, it's 1 more than 5, 1 after 5. Which number comes 1 after 5? 6. VII, which number comes 2 after 5? 5, 6, 7. 7. VII, which number comes 3 after 5? 5, 6, 7, 8. And then X is 10. So IX, 1 before 10, is 9. X is 10. XI, 1 after 10, is 11. XII, 2 after 10, 10, 11, 12. Count along. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. The important ones to know is that an I means 1, a V means a 5, and an X means 10. And then you can figure out from whether the I comes before or after the V or the X, which number it needs to be. So let's have a quick look now at some examples. Here, our long minute hand is pointing straight up, so we know it's going to be an O clock. Even though we can't see a 12, we can see an XII, which is just Roman for 12. We know from the position of the hand it's going to be an O clock. Now, which number is the short hour hand pointing at on this clock? It's pointing at VI. So V is 5, and then I after it, 1 after 5 is 6. So it's 6 o'clock. In this next example, we can tell that the short hour hand has gone past the X. X is 10. So it's something past 10, and we can count round using our 5s like we practiced in the last video. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. So it's 25 minutes past 10. Okay, next example. In this example, the short hour hand has almost reached the III. III is 3. So it's almost at 3. And the long minute hand is at the 1/4 position. We can double check that by making sure it's 15 minutes, counting back in 5s, 5, 10, 15. Yeah, it's 2:45. And final example, here we've got the long minute hand pointing straight down. So it's a 1/2 time, and it's 1/2 past VIII. So VIII is 5, and then 3 after it. So what's 3 after 5? 3 more than 5 is 8. So it's 1/2 past 8. Even though the numbers might be a little bit strange at first when they're Roman numerals, Roman numbers, the positions of the hands will still be the same and will still be familiar to you. And so it shouldn't be too confusing. Roman numerals wouldn't have been a thing coming up in the actual KIRFs test, but I thought we would cover it while we were here in sunny Pompeii anyway. That about wraps it up. There are some practice sheets on our class page where you can have a go. I've put a key to Roman numerals on them as well, so just give it your best shot, see how you go, and I bet you'll surprise yourself with how easy you actually find it. Thank you for keeping me company, and remember to stay kind. with one another as we are stuck together at this time. Let's just grab the time traveling watch. I. Hang on a minute. This doesn't seem right.